If you are refusing to leave during this mandatory evacuation, then you need to do things like notify your legal next of kin, because the loss of life is very, very possible.
New mandatory evacuations underway as now Tropical Storm Florence continues to swamp the Carolinas. Plus, up in flames. A Port Charlotte family the house is destroyed. Wait until you hear the cause of this fire. And how a Venice race brought business back to downtown. Your Suncoast News starts right now.
You're watching ABC 7 News at 7.
Hi, I'm Ray Collins. Tropical Storm Florence is our top story, and new mandatory evacuations are in place for thousands now in South Carolina. Officials issued the order just hours ago, citing imminent danger from floodwaters. This as the death toll from the storm has risen now to 11. Hundreds are still trying to be rescued. Thousands are still without power. Now, here's some new video of some of the destruction across the Carolinas. This is a gas station in Wilmington. You can see the pump has been gutted and the wind blew parts of the roof right to the ground. Also in Wilmington, the video of downed trees and debris littering the roadways all over the street. And in River Bend, North Carolina now, look as crews from the New York City Urban Search and Rescue Team attempt to rescue victims caught in flooded areas. The Pentagon has dispatched thousands of troops to the southeast. 7,500 members of the Coast Guard are now on the ground. The National Guard deployed 6,500 troops, and almost 3,000 more are standing by. This video is of the National Guard troops rescuing stranded people in New Bern, North Carolina. The Army Corps of Engineers and the Department of Health and Human Services also have personnel on site. Most of those deployed are in the Carolinas, where the cost of the damage continues to mount. And now with a look at where Florence is going next, Wendy Ross has our first alert weather forecast. Wendy?
Ray, we are looking at the system. This is the satellite view of what is going on, and right over here is where the eye of Florence is, or was the eye of Florence. And what we're looking at here are these bands of cloud cover that is still coming on through, and Wilmington is targeted once again. The biggest problem with this storm so far has been the fact that there is so much rainfall that has come into play, over 30 inches of rain for many, many locations, and we're also expecting to see more to come in the next couple of days. So we're only a third of the way through all the rainfall that is anticipated with this storm, and it is going to be moving towards the west. It is just moving so slowly, and that's part of the reason why there's so many problems with this. But it's already been downgraded to 45-mile-per-hour winds with wind gusts of up to 60 miles per hour. And of course, as it continues to move towards the west and into the mountainous areas, it will become more and more downgraded and certainly not as strong. But once again, it's the rain, it's the copious amounts of rain, and these bands just continue to feed on in and come across the area. And you can see Wilmington right here is on target to experience even more rainfall, as much as a foot more of rain in already rainfall amounts of as much as 30 inches in some locations. The areas in gray on your screen are indicative of the heaviest amounts of rainfall. In the meantime, right here, things are quiet, and so we don't have to worry about any rainfall for us, at least not for the next couple of hours. Things are awfully quiet across our region. Ray?
Thank you, Wendy. We, of course, are monitoring Tropical Storm Florence. We'll give you updates throughout the show and also online at mysuncoast.com. For breaking news and also the forecast, go to our app, WWSB. It can be found in your app store. On to other news now. Developing story in Northport, where a man is accused in the shooting death of his neighbor. Police charged this man, 65-year-old John Krug Jr., with second-degree murder in the death of his 62-year-old neighbor, Carl Berryman. Police say the two men had a history of tension. They said the victim had been arrested earlier this month for firing shots at the suspect's house. Police say when they arrived at the house on Erie Court, Berryman was shot in the shoulder, and Krug was outside the house and was cooperative with officers. For the second time in recent weeks in Charlotte County, a candle in a closet caused a big house fire. Look at this. This is all that's left of the house on Mineral Avenue. It happened about 11 o'clock this morning. The fire broke out in a back bedroom's walk-in closet. A resident admitted they had a lit candle in a walk-in closet. Fortunately, all three inside the house got out safely. The Red Cross is helping the family find a temporary place to live. Earlier this month, you might recall, a young person's candle in a closet caused another fire also in Charlotte County. Well, one of the biggest events of the year was held today in Venice. Dozens of rowers competed in the Battle of the Bridges Regatta. But as our Jackie Kelly tells us now, some other boaters weren't happy with this inconvenience. Jackie?
That's right. Some boaters were mad that the Intercoastal Waterway and the boat ramp were closed for a few hours today. The reason for this closure was to ensure safety for the rowers. However, many people who attended the event say that they were happy it was brought to Venice, especially during this slow season, which has already been impacted by the red tide.
I think they should suck it up. It's for the good of the town. You know, this has been done in other places around the country, and it's very beneficial to the town and the businesses in the town.
And at 11, you can hear why organizers hope that this event can help for many years to come. Reporting in Venice, Jackie Kelly, ABC 7, your Suncoast News.
Now, that race was supposed to last all day, but due to red tide, it was shortened just a few hours. And that wasn't the only event cut short. The city's monthly 6-mile bike ride was canceled today. Officials say they are monitoring the toxic algae bloom closely. With more than a dozen events planned now over the next few weeks, the red tide began about 10 weeks ago. Now, here's the latest red tide report released today from Mote Marine. They're reporting heavy fish kills at all tested Suncoast beaches except Nokomis Beach and at the North Jetty, where only some dead fish have been reported. Respiratory irritation has also been reported at all beaches. Here is a look at Lido Beach today. Those specks out there on the water are actually dead fish as well. Usually the beach is quite busy on a sunny Saturday in September. Now to an update on the downtown Venice major road project. Right now, crews are demolishing the sidewalks on West Venice Avenue and replacing them. They hope to have the sidewalks open by Thursday for the Venice Main Street Wine Walk. The entire project should be done in about 6 months. An update now to a story about volunteers helping a disabled veteran in Bradenton. The Minnesota Operation Troop Support Group is wrapping up a week-long project. A neighbor tipped off the group to the need for major upgrades at William Perkins's mobile home. The floor wasn't structurally sound, the roof leaked, and the bathroom was broken. Today marked the final day of the project with a celebration this afternoon. Home Depot also chipped in for supplies as well. And this was the last weekend. The Sarasota Farmers Market will be at its current location. Starting next weekend, the market will shift one street over. This comes in response to safety concerns from the ongoing construction of the Mark on Lemon Avenue. The city is also going to spend a few $1,000s to add red bricks to the road early next year. So the new market will include a new addition of First Street from Lemon Avenue to Orange Avenue, right in front of City Hall right there. And throughout this shift, the market will maintain the regular hours of 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturdays. Still to come, Wendy Ross has your Sunday forecast and the latest on Tropical Storm Florence. Stay with us.
The following message is brought to you by Mesobook.com.
People who have been diagnosed with mesothelioma have many questions. How did I get this disease? What are my treatment options? How will this affect my loved ones? You need answers, which is why we offer a free book written by medical professionals who have treated mesothelioma.
Call toll-free at 1-800-777-1366 or go to Mesobook.com.
Did you know you could get life insurance for less than 32 cents a day? With guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance through TrueStage, You can get up to $25,000 in protection with a single phone call, and you cannot be turned down for any reason. Even if you have health problems or are living on a fixed income, Guaranteed Acceptance whole life insurance policies could work for you with prices starting at less than 32 cents a day. That's as low as $9.40 a month. TruStage can help free your family from immediate financial stress when you're gone.
Utility bills, mortgages, car payments, those are a lot of things that can add up pretty fast.
My mom didn't have life insurance and the cost all fell on me. And that's expensive. We're still paying for that.
Yeah, we're still paying for that.
Call 1-800-218-4991 now. In one phone call, you can help prepare your family with protection amounts up to $25,000. There are no medical tests or health questions. And remember, you cannot be turned down for any reason. In fact, TruStage policies are already protecting over 18 million Americans. And rates are designed to be affordable, starting at less than 32 cents a day. That's as low as $9.40 a month. Plus, your price will never increase and your benefit will never decrease.
When I leave, everything will be taken care of for them.
Call 1-800-218-4991 now for a free, no-obligation quote. TruStage offers plans to fit your budget with prices starting at less than 32 cents a day. Help protect your family from immediate financial burdens after you're gone with Guaranteed Acceptance whole life insurance through TruStage. Call 1-800-218-4991 now.
All eyes now on Tropical Storm Florence during this very busy hurricane season.
Oh my goodness, it has been, hasn't it? It all happened just in this last month, it seems. But we have had a very active season so far, and so we'll take a look at the numbers, and you can see we've had 10 named storms. 5 of them stayed tropical storms, and 5 of them have become hurricanes. And that's what we've been dealing with, of course, with Hurricane Florence, which has now been downgraded to Tropical Storm Florence. We have Isaac that we need to be paying attention to, and then we have Helene and Joyce. And Isaac, by the way, has now been downgraded as well to just a low pressure system. These two moving off towards the northeast, and Florence already onshore. And we do have the remnants of Isaac that we'll be talking about in just a second. But right now, Tropical Storm Florence moving towards the west very slowly at 2 miles per hour, 45-mile-per-hour winds with wind gusts of up to 60 miles per hour. And you'll notice that it will continue to move on towards the west, and by tomorrow it'll be downgraded even more to 40-mile-per-hour winds, and it's eventually going to move on up into the Appalachians and eventually out into the Atlantic. And so that's the track it's going to be taking. But it's the rain. It is the constant rain, and it has been over 30 inches of rain in some locations across the Carolinas, and then we just continue to see these rain bands moving in. Another foot of rain is expected over Wilmington over the next couple of days, and we're only a third of the way through all of the rainfall. We're going to be seeing more and more of this rain because this system is moving so slowly. And the areas that are in gray, those are the areas where we've seen 16 inches or more of rainfall, and some places have reported as much as 30 inches of rainfall. It's just been record-breaking rains that have been taking place across parts of the Carolinas. In the meantime, we've had some drier air move in on top of us, and as a result, we're seeing quiet conditions. And right now, there's nothing going on for our area. We've seen some thunderstorms to our north, thunderstorms well east, and all of this wet weather is moving off towards the east because the winds are coming in out of the west, pushing everything over to the east coast. So even though we've got a couple of showers out in the Gulf of Mexico, they're falling apart because of this drier air that's sitting on top of us right now. So that 20% chance of rain that we were expecting for today is pretty much over. We're not expecting to see any more rain. So now we're going to Isaac. And Isaac definitely has our attention because even though it has been sheared apart and is now a low-pressure system, there is the opportunity for it to redevelop as it continues to move towards the west at around 16 miles per hour. And by Tuesday, it could be moving into the Gulf of Mexico. So we need to be paying attention, be vigilant, because even though all of the models are taking it into the center of the Gulf, away from the state of Florida, some are actually bringing it into the state of Florida. So on Tuesday, we really need to be paying attention to what may be going on with Isaac. In the meantime, because of no rain, those temperatures are staying hot, readings in the 80s and 90s, but it feels as though it's 100 degrees out there still. And for many locations around our region, it feels as though those temperatures are very close to 100 degrees. Today, we got up to a high of 90, a little bit warmer than normal. 77 was the overnight low. And if you are heading off to the beach, we're looking at those winds coming in out of the southwest tomorrow, seas 1 to 2 feet. Some isolated thunderstorms possibly, with only a 20% chance of rain in our forecast for tomorrow. And that same will be true on Monday with that drier air sitting on top of us. On Tuesday, we're paying attention to Isaac. And then on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, better chances of rainfall as we get back into more of a typical summer-like season for us. Ray?
Thank you, Wendy. It's been about 1 year now since Hurricane Irma blew through Florida. The Suncoast had some damage, but 14 patients at a Broward County nursing home were killed due to a lack of power there. Reporter Randy Kay shows us now what's changed since.
It is one of the most upsetting parts of this is that my mom passed away under such circumstances. The temperature gauge was not able to even read her temperature until about 15 minutes after her time of death, and it was 110 degrees.
When Jeff Nova first heard his mother Gail had died after Hurricane Irma hit, he could hardly believe it. She was, so he thought, under the watchful care of nurses and staff at the rehabilitation center at Hollywood Hills in Florida. Then came the news that 7 others had also died on the same day in the same facility. That was a year ago, and still Jeff and his family don't have answers or, in their mind, justice.
I want to know who's responsible. I'm hopeful that in this investigation they come out with the truth of really what happened.
In all, 14 patients from this facility died in the aftermath of the storm. The medical examiner found that 12 of the 14 died from heat exposure. Many of the victims' body temperatures topped 106 degrees. 12 have been ruled homicide by the medical examiner, including Jeff's 71-year-old mother. 12 homicides, but to this day, a year later, no charges. It all began when Irma hit Sunday, September 10th last year. At around 3 p.m., strong winds downed a tree, which knocked out the nursing home's air conditioning system. Many of the patients were moved into hallways, next to fans and spot coolers.
Why they wouldn't have evacuated if the temperature was that great and continuing to rise, someone, I have to assume, had that responsibility and decided not to take it.
Instead, all 141 patients remained inside for days, sweating as workers tried to manage the situation on their own. Law enforcement says temperatures inside the facility climbed to at least 99 degrees. Still, several doctors who visited the facility to check on their patients testified that it felt warm but not unbearably hot, and they thought residents were safe. Attorney George Silva represents 5 families suing the nursing home and Florida Power and Light.
We're talking about days where these individuals were deteriorating and suffocating to death.
Administrators claim they had repeatedly called Florida Power and Light, state regulators, and the governor's office, and say they were assured the air conditioning would be restored soon.
This isn't a light switch that the patients were doing fine one moment and then the next second they weren't doing fine. This was a very slow, grueling death.
This video, recorded the night after the storm, shows the conditions. A fan next to one resident's bed, a larger fan in the hallway to keep air moving, and this, a woman laying naked in the hallway on a gurney. The woman who took this video told CNN that same woman was wearing clothes the day before, but had disrobed to try and keep cool. Representatives of the nursing home said it was safest for the patients to shelter in place, given the danger in moving elderly patients. This is the Hollywood Hills Rehabilitation Center. It is right across the street from one of the largest hospitals in the state, Memorial Regional Hospital, which never lost power during the storm. It remained fully operational with air conditioning, all just steps away. Instead, an emergency unfolded.
911, what is your emergency?
8 calls to 911, but only one nurse mentioned that there wasn't any air conditioning in the nursing home. Also, not a single caller suggested an evacuation was needed.
I'm calling because there's a patient who's on cardiac arrest, code blue, respiratory failure. I saw her slouch over. I realized that she's not breathing.
Residents were dying, one after another. After 3 patients were rushed to the emergency room at Memorial Regional Hospital with extraordinarily high temperatures, doctors and nurses chose to immediately evacuate the nursing home. The New York Times reported some residents were so hot, their skin was steaming.
There were patients that were not living any longer that were upstairs on the 2nd floor when we entered the building.
Nobody from the rehabilitation center would speak with us, but court documents provided by lawyers representing the nursing home say that Florida's Agency for Healthcare Administration never suggested evacuation and instead told them to call 911 if residents developed emergency conditions. The rehab center did call 911, but not until it was too late for a dozen residents. The governor's office says at no time did anyone from the nursing home indicate that conditions had become dangerous or that patients were at risk. And families say Florida Power and Light is to blame too, for not showing up until long after the nursing home had been evacuated, despite numerous calls for help.
This nursing home was not attended to despite multiple calls, multiple emails, and multiple requests for assistance.
FPL said in a statement that it urged customers to call 911 if it was a life-threatening situation.
To think that help was so close and yet sadly so far for these individuals is really, really disturbing and troubling.
Jeff Nova still struggles thinking about his mother's final moments and wants to make sure she didn't die in vain.
You haven't given up on justice for your mother.
I believe that there has to be justice in this situation, like all situations. These events don't go away and get brushed under the rug. Some closure has to occur, some changes have to occur so that this event doesn't get replicated.
That was Randy Kay reporting. Still to come, some of the health and safety warnings after a big storm. That story and more news coming up on ABC 7.
What to expect when you're expecting a teenager.
Today we're talking about how to wake up your teen, and this works literally every time.
Good kisses. Good kisses. You heard how loud
I heard. It wasn't you. It was the...
Is that bacon? You don't have to know it all to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more than 100 years, American Humane Association has been teaching kids to be kind to animals. Those in our homes, on the farms, on the silver screen, and wildlife conservation, caring for the world's vanishing creatures. But we can't do it alone. Visit kindness100.org to find ways to teach kids how they can make a more caring, compassionate, and humane world for all of us.
Every day, we take steps to keep the people we love safe, but some health risks are easy to miss. Ticks hiding in the yard can spread germs, like the ones that cause Lyme disease. Mice searching for food can spread bacteria that makes us sick. Mosquitoes lay eggs in standing water and can spread West Nile virus and more. Cockroaches are drawn to water in the home, leaving behind allergens that can trigger asthma attacks. Common pests can threaten our health. Learn how to protect your family at pestworld.org.
Mascara adds depth to the eyes. Lipstick gives the mouth color and definition. And ALS paralyzes the body.
You look great, Mom.
Thank you. Slowly taking away the ability to move and eventually breathe.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes,
B, console her.
Don't worry, sweetie. This is gonna happen a lot.
Or C, find her a new boyfriend.
Nice single boys. That was weird.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
I just need a second.
Is your weight holding you back and affecting your health?
Did you see this? Your cousin had a heart attack.
Really?
Excess weight or obesity can be serious, but you can do something about it. Visit yourweightmatters.org. Download the free toolkit to prepare you to speak with a healthcare provider. Your weight does matter. Accept the challenge and take charge today. Visit yourweightmatters.org.
In Health Smart, a warning for parents about a thing that kids got a hold of called nicotine-laced lozenges. Some students in Fort Lauderdale were competing to see who could eat the most. 7 students, all under 12, were taken to the hospital, between 2 to 12 students, that is. They're listed now in stable condition. One child who ate 10 pieces had severe symptoms.
Vomiting, irregular heartbeat, decreases the blood pressure. Sometimes can produce seizures in high doses.
I thought it was candy, and then he gave me 2 of them, and then I had put it in my mouth. I just hold it, and then I spit it out, and then my stomach started hurting. I was shaking, and then I threw up.
Turns out one student brought the nicotine lozenges from home. Other kids told police they thought it was just candy. Well, after a storm, it's important to be aware of potential health risks, of course. In addition to being a drowning hazard, standing water may also carry bacteria, which can make you sick. So something as simple as hand hygiene goes a long way. Dirty water can also cause infection if an open wound is submerged.
We would encourage people to wash their hands with soap and water, not put their hands in their mouth. Children who may not have that inhibition, after touching dirty water containing some of these bacteria, can go and put that in their mouth, thereby increasing their risk for diarrheal illness.
Health officials also encourage people to seek a medical professional or counselor to help them cope with mental health challenges as well. Still to come, continuing coverage of Tropical Storm Florence. A look at how the Carolinas withstand heavy rain and strong winds in that region.
We've been fighting the war on drugs for a long time. We answer the phone 24/7, 365 days a year. On a busy night, we answer hundreds of calls. This war on drugs needs our intervention.
Since 2014, Addiction Hope and Helpline has helped people struggling with drugs and alcohol.
When the phone rings, we help people when they need it the most. When we get a caller into treatment, it feels right. It feels good. It's a blessing.
If you're struggling, drinking, using, and need to get clean, don't suffer alone in silence. Call Addiction Hope and Helpline.
Our people understand, and many are also in recovery. Call for support and strength. You can call for someone who can't or isn't willing. It's an act of love. Together we can help you beat this thing and erase addiction from your vocabulary once and for all.
Call 800-871-1644. 800-871-1644.
At Boys and Girls Clubs, it's not just about trying new things.
Tanya, come here.
Learning the right steps.
2, 3, 4.
Or making contact. It's not just about exploring the future. It's about helping them build it. It's about making a connection. It's about proving every kid and teen who enters our doors has what it takes. Great futures start here.
Monday at 5 on ABC7's Good Morning Suncoast.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Webb.
And I'm Ray Collins. We'll tell you how some local nonprofits are helping with hurricane victims in North Carolina.
A number of Suncoast residents have headed north to help already, and we'll have all the details. That's Monday on Good Morning Suncoast. Josh?
Yeah, we'll have your forecast, obviously, but also talk about any other tropical systems out there that could affect the Suncoast.
Monday at 5 on ABC7's Good Morning Suncoast. We're here for you. On the next Black Almanac.
Suncoast residents are taking closer heed to monitor environmental risk in our own backyards since following the water contamination crisis in Flint, Michigan. What's been noticed? Residing in certain zip codes may increase your chances of heart and lung ailments.
We really need to work together as a community to come up with some good solutions and also to protect and uplift the people affected by this.
Sunday morning at 7:30 on ABC 7.
We're losing exotic animals on a daily basis, and the ones that we have in captivity are really the ambassadors for their wild counterparts. I'm Clayton Rozier from the Big Cat Habitat and Gulf Coast Sanctuary, housing over 150 exotic animals that needed a great home. And if you love animals, please help them. Do it locally. Support your local no-kill shelters, your local wild animal sanctuaries. Make a difference where you can.
ABC 7, the Suncoast's official Florida lottery station.
Now to our continuing coverage of Tropical Storm Florence. The death toll is now up to 11. New number in the past hour. 2 people died when flash flooding overtook roads in Duplin County, North Carolina. And as reporter Marcy Gonzalez tells us now, the worst is far from over.
Tonight, rivers still rising, leaving parts of North Carolina underwater.
We do believe that there will be a worst-case scenario. We're talking about flooding that has not been seen to this degree, potentially, since 1945.
The city of New Bern hit hard, ceilings caving in, this boat washing ashore, parts of the community buried after a 10-foot storm surge.
The streets are almost like you need gondolas to get through. Even my neighborhood, which is not a neighborhood that's in any type of flood zone.
Volunteers from across the country joining in the rescue efforts.
Do you need any help?
Pulling pets and grateful residents from their flooded homes.
They did awesome. If not, we'd be stuck upstairs.
Florence still crawling across the Carolinas as people here begin to get a glimpse of the destruction left in the storm's wake. Carol Rogers returning to her home in Wilmington, relieved she decided to evacuate.
That is my room there that I would have been asleep in, so I would have been killed probably if I'd have stayed.
And tonight, a lot of people wishing they'd left, as flooding in many areas is only expected to get worse in the coming days. Because of that, some communities are now under new mandatory evacuation orders. Marcy Gonzalez, ABC News, Wilmington, North Carolina.
All right, the latest now on Tropical Storm Florence from Wendy Ross. She has the first forecast for us now, Wendy.
And right here are the latest coordinates and the latest conditions, and you can see the winds now down to 45 miles per hour, 60 mile per hour wind gusts. And the biggest problem with Florence right now is that she's moving towards the west at 2 miles per hour. And that's the reason this is so problematic, because all of this rain just continues to come in bands from the Atlantic, and it's just sweeping in across the Carolinas. This is the track it's going to be taking over the next couple of days. As you can see, it will eventually move into the Appalachians and eventually back out into the Atlantic. And this is the rainfall that just is continuous, and these bands that are coming on in still very strong. More and more rain is going to be coming on into these areas, and these are already the hardest hit areas that have been taking place across the Carolinas, and there isn't going to be much of a respite from this for the next couple of days. So this is just more rain coming in. Another foot of rain is possible over portions of Wilmington. You can see the areas in gray indicate where the heaviest rainfalls have already taken place. Over 16 inches is what the areas in gray represent, and we've had reports of up to 30 inches of rain already having taken place. So what we're looking at, of course, is that more of this wet weather is going to be coming in, affecting the Carolinas. We, on the other hand, have drier air in place, and as a result, things are quiet right here for us. Ray?
Good to hear. Thank you, Wendy. Even though Florence is not affecting us directly, we are still in hurricane season, so don't let your guards down. Some reminders on our app, as well as a hurricane guide at mysuncoast.com. Now, this week, the federal government will test the National Wireless Emergency Alert System. The goal is to alert Americans to emergencies like severe weather and missing children. Most cell phone users will receive an alert on Thursday afternoon. The message will be titled Presidential Alert, but will indicate it is only a test of the National Wireless Emergency Alert System. Major cell phone carriers, including AT&T, Verizon, and Sprint, are all taking part. FEMA will also test the emergency alert system on radio and TV Thursday as well. Hong Kong and China are bracing for so-called Typhoon Mangkhut as a monster storm crosses the South China Sea. Heavy rain and wind is expected to lash Hong Kong through Monday. At least 2 people have been killed and thousands forced to evacuate. Look at this now, a man rescued after attempting to cross raging floodwaters. The typhoon has brought extreme rain and wind to the northern Philippines, at one point qualifying as a super typhoon, the strongest storm anywhere in the world this year. Back in this country now, the investigation continues into what caused the fatal gas explosions in Massachusetts this past week. The governor declared a state of emergency as people wait to return home. As reporter Marcus Moore tells us, just a few hours ago, the National Transportation Safety Board released new developments in its investigation.
Crews continuing door-to-door inspections, checking homes for any lingering danger after that string of explosions hit 3 communities north of Boston. Fire departments overwhelmed on Thursday. Crews stretched too thin to respond to every fire. Some residents putting the flames out themselves.
I just started fanning it, and it eventually went out.
One person killed. 18-year-old Leonel Rondon died when an explosion sent this chimney crashing down onto his SUV. At least 25 others hurt. The NTSB leading the investigation.
We will look and develop a complete timeline of the events surrounding this disaster. We want to know any testing that may have occurred on this pipeline, any failures that may have occurred.
These infrared images showing another gas leak under the pavement. That leak caught before it sparked any explosions. More than 8,000 residents forced to evacuate their homes and neighborhoods. Columbia Gas Company setting up a hotline and a claims center for anyone affected.
This is the sort of thing that a gas distribution company hopes never happens.
Representatives of the gas company on hand to try to answer questions, but customers growing impatient.
Well, you knew when we were coming here that we were going to have questions. You should have had some answers.
The governor frustrated with Columbia Gas Company's handling of the situation, declaring a state of emergency, clearing the way for another gas company to make necessary repairs. Meanwhile, many residents are still unable to return home. Marcus Moore, ABC News, New York.
Another fatal explosion, this one in the Florida Panhandle at a manufacturing plant. Here is video of the scene of the incident that happened Friday morning southeast of Tallahassee. The company manufactures rubber bullets, smoke grenades, and tactical gear. Here's the sheriff of Taylor County.
Enforcement agency and military, we don't suspect any kind of foul play or anything going on.
One person was dead when first responders arrived. Another was airlifted to a hospital. No word yet on that person's condition. Well, today, 8 boaters were rescued in 2 separate incidents after their boats overturned along Florida's Gulf Coast. In the first case, the Coast Guard rescued a group of 5 boaters wearing life jackets and clinging to their boat near Cedar Key. The Coast Guard was alerted by a distress call in which one of the boaters said, "We're going down." Luckily, none of the boaters was injured. Now, in the second incident, 3 boaters were rescued near Clearwater after their boat capsized. 3 people were found clinging to their boat but were not injured, fortunately. Other news now, 3 local charter schools are facing some state penalties on the Suncoast. According to an audit report from the 2017 school year, Manatee County School of the Arts and Sciences was found to have a weakness in its financial record keeping. Also, the Student Leadership Academy in Venice and Rolette Academy in Bradenton were also both in non-compliance with government auditing standards. Most of the schools have reportedly fixed the issues. In all, 629 audits done on charter schools throughout the state found 14% had problems with their record keeping. Caught on camera tonight, we are seeing new video released by police in Sacramento. It shows several minutes of video from the night officers shot and killed a 19-year-old man earlier this month. They thought his BB gun looked like the real thing. A warning now, this video might be disturbing. Here's reporter Shansia Tansel with the video.
His hood and mask are obvious. What isn't clearly visible in newly released Sacramento Police Department video of their killing of Daryl Richards is the most dangerous alleged element of their encounter with him. his gun.
Ma'am, this guy got the gun in his hand.
911 callers referenced it when they made the report that started the almost 4-hour pursuit, ending with the end of Richard's life at a Curtis Park home.
21's with him, still southbound East Curb.
Officers who followed him from Broadway to First Avenue say the gun they saw was used to threaten at least 3 people before it was turned on them while the 19-year-old was under a stairwell, producing this result.
Show me your hands. Show me your hands. Put the gun down.
As part of its body cam release from the incident, Sacramento police shared these images. On the left, the replica Sig Sauer pellet gun they say they found near Richard's body, sitting on top of a knife they say he was also carrying. On the right, a picture of a real Sig Sauer P225. I don't see any shot where you can actually see him behind the stairs holding it pointing it at the officers. Is that correct?
In the video footage, that's correct.
Okay. And with this killing causing so much pain for Richard's family and such intense outrage for a community demanding justice for the 3rd young black man they say was killed by city officers in just the last 9 months, still not having a clear picture of what happened in this case is unacceptable.
In Maryland, officers got in trouble for carrying pellet guns around and placing them on bodies after they killed them. I don't trust our police. For the last couple times that they've killed people, they've always put out a narrative that has been in favor of them, and then when more information comes out, we find out that they actually lied. Joseph Mann, they lied. They said he was charging at them with the knife while actually he was dodging their vehicle. With Stefan, they said he had a gun, then they said he had a toolbar, and then the sheriff department put out that he actually had a cell phone.
That's reporter Shansia Tansel reporting. 2 officers are right now on paid leave. 2 investigations have been launched into how the University of Central Florida spent $38 million to construct a building with funds that were destined to be used for operations. On Friday, the Florida House Speaker Richard Corcoran appointed the head of an ethics committee which will investigate how the money was spent at UCF. The university's chief financial officer resigned on Thursday after an audit revealed that the school had improperly used state funding. A NASA satellite is now on its mission to observe Earth's changing ice sheets, glaciers, and sea ice. Earlier today, scientists launched the device they are calling the IceSat-2, which stands for Ice, Cloud, and Land Elevation Satellite. They want to see how fast polar ice is melting and what areas are seeing the biggest losses. It is said to be NASA's most advanced laser instrument. Still ahead on ABC 7 as Tropical Storm Florence continues through the southeast. A look at the heroic efforts being made to save both people and pets.
Dear parents, it's time for a pop quiz. What's the best kind of play for kids? Play that makes us think? Or helps us pretend? Or teaches us rules? Or to be creative? Actually, every kind of play is important because different kinds of play give us different kinds of skills. Help us mix up the ways we play. Okay, class dismissed. Now go play.
Gettle's got what you're looking for at Gettle.com. 17 new car brands, over 1,000 used vehicles, prices and payments you can afford. Credit help if you need it, and they pay cash for your old car. Plus, Gettle Pre-Owned Certified Plus means buying with peace of mind. Need service? Gettle's got that too. Gettle's got it. Visit Gettle.com.
Did you know you could get life insurance for less than 32 cents a day? With guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance through TruStage, you can get up to $25,000 in protection with a single phone call. TruStage can help free your family from immediate financial stress when you're gone.
Utility bills, mortgages, car payments, those are a lot of things that can add up pretty fast.
And even if you're on a fixed income, prices fit your budget, starting at less than 32 cents a day. Plus, your price will never increase and your benefit will never decrease. And with no medical tests or health questions, you cannot be turned down for any reason. Call 1-800-842-7189. Now, for a free, no-obligation quote, TrueStage offers plans to fit your budget. Help protect your family from immediate financial burdens after you're gone with guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance through TrueStage. Call 1-800-842-7189 now.
Attention, do you have Medicare? Do you want to make sure you have the most benefits and lowest possible out-of-pocket costs? You may be able to lower your out-of-pocket costs and get dental, vision, and prescription drug coverage included in your plan. Call the Medicare Coverage Helpline now to find out what you deserve.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jason Buchwald. Over 3 million people have called the Medicare Coverage Helpline, but there are still many people who don't check to see if they're eligible for more benefits and lower out-of-pocket costs. It's so easy. One simple free call could save you money and get you more benefits. Be smart. Call the Medicare Coverage Helpline now.
Call now to see if you may be eligible to lower your copays and get extra benefits, including dental and prescription coverage. Don't delay. Call to see if you're able to save money and get more benefits now. Call 1-800-711-7200. Again, call 1-800-711-7200 now.
When it comes to rescues in a storm zone, of course, the emphasis is on humans, but what about the pets? Cats and dogs left to fend for themselves, rescued by some good Samaritans recently. This reporter interrupted her live stream to save a therapy dog.
Do you think that is safe? It's my daughter's therapy dog. I have no choice. All right, here we go. She's got the dog.
Coastal shelters were faced with a problem over what to do with all the dogs and cats who were left behind. So some of them put out a call for help. People lined up to pick up foster pets for the weekend, and very likely even longer.
Oh, good-hearted people, all of those who agreed to volunteer for that. What a great assignment.
I recall after Hurricane Katrina 10 years ago, some dogs were adopted locally temporarily, and then the owners wanted them back, and a bit of a tug-of-war broke out. That's happened before.
You can fall in love easily.
Yes,
it's so easy to do.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, this has been a crazy hurricane season so far, and look how busy it has been just today. This is what is going on. So we have Florence that is on land. We have Helene and Joyce. They're moving off towards the northeast. And then we have what was Isaac down, as you can see, getting closer and moving towards the Caribbean, and is in the Caribbean and moving towards the Gulf of Mexico. And this is something we're going to be watching over the next couple of days. We'll talk about that in just a second, but we don't have to worry about Helene or Joyce. They're moving off towards the UK. Florence already, of course, is on land, and this is what's going on with Florence. The biggest problem with this system, of course, as I've said, is that it is moving so slowly towards the west right now at 2 miles per hour, and that's why all of this rain just continues and why they're just not able to get away from any of this wet weather. And so this continues to move off into the Appalachians and eventually will move into the Atlantic. So that's the course that it's going to take over the next couple of days. But in the meantime, all of this rain just continues with all of these bands moving on in, more of it and more of it. And so we're about a third of the way through all of the wet weather. We've already had 30 inches of rainfall in some locations, and another foot of rain is likely over Wilmington. And so we're going to continue to see more showers moving on in as this system moves very, very slowly towards the west. And so once this rain comes on through, keep in mind the flooding problems, the landslides, all of those kinds of issues that can develop as a result. And these are life-threatening situations, and that's why these new mandatory evacuations have been ordered. In the meantime, this is the areas that we're looking at where the heaviest rainfall is outlined in the gray that you see, and we've got more coming. This is indicative of 16 inches and greater. Already 30-inch record rainfalls have already fallen across parts of the Carolinas, and in the meantime we've got more rain coming on in over the next couple of days. So right here across our own state of Florida, we're nice and quiet. We've had some drier air move in on top of us, and so we've not seen the showers developing. We've had some thunderstorms to the north and to the east of us, and everything is moving over towards the east coast right now, and we don't have a whole lot in the way of development out here in the Gulf of Mexico, so the likelihood of us getting any more rain showers for the day is not likely to happen throughout the overnight time period. You can see all that drier air situated here across central and south Florida with pockets of more moisture, but for the most part, very dry for us. Now we go to Isaac, and the reason we have to pay attention to Isaac is that even though it has been downgraded and sheared apart, this system is moving towards the west at 16 miles per hour. It is expected to get into the Gulf of Mexico on Tuesday. So on Tuesday, we need to be paying attention to it, because even though most of the models are taking it away from the state of Florida, anything can happen, as we know. So do start paying attention to what Isaac is going to do. If it does reform, it will be doing so over the next couple of days, and Tuesday is the day for us to be paying attention to it. In the meantime, those temperatures are not cooled because it hasn't been raining, so it feels as though it's 100 degrees in some places around the state. For us, it feels as though those temperatures are in the mid to upper 90s right now, and even though we had a high today of 90 degrees, it was a little bit warmer than normal, 77 the overnight low. And if you're heading off to the beach, winds will be out of the southwest at 10 knots, seas 1 to 2 feet. Isolated thunderstorms for tonight, and over the next several days, we only have a 20% chance of rain for tomorrow and Monday. We're remembering to watch Isaac on Tuesday, and then we get back to 40 to 50% chances of rain and even 60% chances as the week wears on. Back to normal then. Ray.
All right, thank you, Wendy. Here is your chance to get a free Tervis tumbler, but first you have to sign a pledge to stop using disposable cups. This is true. The North Venice manufacturer will give away 10,000 plastic cups later this month on September 27th. Tervis says it is committed to making a positive impact on our oceans and environment by reducing waste. The giveaways will be at their store at 928 South Tamiami Trail in Osprey or at their store in St. Armand Circle. Besides trying to reduce pollution, of course, they're also hoping you'll start buying more Tervis tumblers instead of those plastic cups. Walmart is already trying to help victims of Hurricane Florence. The retail giant will double customer donations. If you give $1, they'll give $2 toward a fund. They call it the Foundation for the Carolinas. You can donate online or at Walmart and Sam's Club registers. They're also going the extra mile for thousands of Walmart workers in the disaster zone, including hot meals and phone calls to check on their status. Up next, we'll hear from Oprah about a new stamp that she's helping launch out west. Stay with us.
I'm Deshauna Barber. In 2016, I was proud to win the title of Miss USA. What makes me just as proud is my service in the U.S. military. In the service, a soldier gains skills and learns values like discipline and leadership. That makes them an asset to any business that hires them. If you're an employer, on behalf of Coalition to Salute America's Heroes, remember to hire smart and bet on a vet. Visit saluteheroes.org or call this number to learn more.
Every child follows a path in life. For many, that path will lead them to a door that gives them a place to grow, to learn, to belong, a place to forge their future. Because while many doors open, these doors transform. They did for us. Support your local Boys and Girls Clubs. Great futures start here.
My name is Blake. I received a heart transplant when I was 2 weeks old. I play defense for the Red Hot Tornadoes. Sometimes my heart starts pounding like faster and faster as I go. I know I have someone else's heart inside me. It makes me feel happy because someone was generous enough to give me a second chance to live.
This gift of life was made possible by an organ donor. Imagine what you could make possible. Sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.gov.
Here's something we bet you didn't know. Nearly half of all cancers can be prevented. That's right, half. Nearly 50%, mostly by making small everyday changes in your diet and controlling your weight, walking more, eating less, and eating foods that help you and your family to seriously reduce the risk of cancer. And of course, by not smoking. Visit the Cancer Prevention Together We Can website and get a free 30-day planner filled with tips, recipes, stats, and more about protecting your family. Go to prevent50.org.
Pets bring so much joy to our lives. They're loyal, they're protective, and smart. Yet as smart as our pets might be, they can't advocate for themselves, especially in the event of a natural disaster. During Hurricane Harvey, many families were separated from their pets. That's why it's important your pet is part of your family's disaster preparedness plan. Talk to your veterinarian and visit banfieldfoundation.org/disaster. Don't save it for a rainy day.
Entertainment news now. San Francisco city officials renamed a portion of Golden Gate Park after a comedic legend. This is the new Robin Williams Meadow. This honor's been in the works now for 2 years. There it is. He lived nearby. The unveiling comes the same weekend as the annual Free Comedy Day Festival.
And he was a special part of Comedy Day. He would come out every year and perform if he was in town. And he became such a good friend of Comedy Day that when he passed away, I was bereft. So I thought, there's got to be something that I can do to honor him.
And they did. Williams, of course, took his own life 4 years ago at the age of 63. Almost $3 million in stolen U.S. film equipment has been recovered in Argentina. Officials announced the conclusion of Operation Hollywood Stolen on Friday. They work with U.S. law enforcement to recover stolen cameras, lenses, lighting equipment, and other accessories. The thieves have been using a rental scheme to make money off the stolen goods. The investigation spanned about 2 years and involved several detectives in both countries. Oprah Winfrey helped launch the post office's new stamp honoring emergency personnel. Oprah spoke at a ceremony and paid tribute to first responders in general and those who assisted in the Thomas Fire and the January mudflow in particular in California. Winfrey has a home nearby.
The stamp is merely a symbol of what the spirit of each of you represents. Each of you represents the best of us. You represent the rising of courage, the rising of honor, the rising of compassion, endurance, survival, and thriving.
The new Forever stamp features a firefighter, a paramedic, and law enforcement officer all dressed in red, white, and blue. Good-looking stamp, too.
Very nice, yeah.
So staying warm here tonight, Wendy.
Oh my gosh, there's no rain, so therefore nothing has cooled us off. Yeah. So we're looking at temperatures that are going to be in the 80s for the rest of the night, and we're not looking for any rain. So if you're going out tonight, tonight's a good night if you live in Florida to go out. It's not so great a night in the Carolinas.
No.
We'll have the updates, of course, later on tonight. We'll have the 11 o'clock advisory coming in.
Okay, we'll see you then. Have a good evening, folks. Beautiful sunset there over Sarasota Bay. We'll see you tonight at 11:30.
How do you open tough jar lids? Do you try this one? Or this one? Or how about this one?
Honey?
This is the future. Shouldn't there be a robot for this by now? There is. Introducing RoboTwist, the robotic jar opener that easily twists off even the toughest lids. Just set it down, press the button, and watch it work. First, the RoboStrong vise locks down tight. Then the powerful twisting action unscrews the lid. RoboTwist is yours for the special introductory price of just $19.99. That's right, the robotic jar opener that easily twists off even the toughest lids, all for just $19.99. Whether the jar is big or small, RoboTwist can open them all. Supplies are limited, so don't delay. Here's how to get yours today.
Call 1-800-347-1073. That's 1-800-347-1073. Or order online at buyrobotwist.com.
Gettle's got what you're looking for at Gettle.com. 17 new car brands. Over 1,000 used vehicles. Prices and payments you can afford. Credit help if you need it. And they pay cash for your old car. Plus, Gettle Pre-Owned Certified Plus means buying with peace of mind. Need service? Gettle's got that too. Gettle's got it. Visit Gettle.com.
There's nothing like this trail in Alabama. It just goes from the northern part of the state to the southern part of the state. We see all kind of different terrains, great value, great fun. We've been coming for 18 years. We started off with a group of 8, grew to 12, and grew to 16. And we love it because where else can you get world-class golf courses with world-class accommodations? To be able to play these type of courses in this environment, and the difficulty keeps us coming back over and over and over again.
Download the all-new ABC7 First Alert weather app now.